Hello, and welcome to the webinar covering the Agile Ticketing Update for version 6.13. We are very excited to introduce you to the significant benefits to the Agile Ticketing System. The first enhancement we are going to cover today is the new dashboard on the Agile Ticketing Portal homepage. This dashboard allows you to quickly and easily view the performance of your organization. Let's take a look at each of the dashboard widgets. First is the sales summary. This gives a high-level summary based on the Agile Ticketing category and your organization's sales line types. Allows you to quickly see the amount sold and the quantity sold within each of these. If you have multiple sales line types within a category, it can be expanded out to view further details. With each of the widgets, you'll also notice that there is the option to choose the date period that you want to look at. By default, I've got it here at last week. We can also choose other options that may be more relevant to how you may want to look at the data. When you change to a different option, whenever you come back to your portal page, it will remember that setting from time to time. Another great feature is that we can export this data from the widget to Excel. And again, we're able to see all those level of details that we're able to see directly in the dashboard. The next widget is the buyer type summary. Again, a high-level summarization based on the sales channel and buyer types defined in your organization. This allows us to quickly and easily see how many sales came in through agent managed channels, such as your box office, and through the web online channels. And if you have multiple buyer types, for instance a standard web versus member purchases, you'll be able to break those out and see those details as well. The next widget is the event availability widget. This widget allows us to easily see what's happening today at our venue. Allows me to make plans and be able to know what's happening based on the amount sold and the amount available. By default, we go ahead and group up by the event name. That way you can see basically how well each particular event is doing. We can also drill down to see what's happening in each particular venue within our organization. And we can further expand out to be able to see each individual show time. We also have the capability to go ahead and click on the edit to go edit details about that particular show time. And the last widget is the active member stats. This gives us a great way to be able to see the performance of our membership program. We're able to look back up to the last 90 days and see a summarization in graph form to show the quantity of memberships as well as the total number of members on particular days within that range. We can use the slider to be able to further filter it down and just look at a particular period within that range. And we have the option to go ahead and export this chart as a picture to be able to share it with somebody else. In order for users to access these widgets, administrators must give permissions to each user role that they want to allow to see each individual widget. And that can be done in the Agile Ticketing application by going under Security, Permissions, and choose your user role you want to edit and go to the Reports area. And at the very bottom, we have the option to allow access to each individual widget. We'll see that the Agile Theater admin has all four, which is why I could see them just a few moments ago. But we may want to go ahead and give our accounting group access to all the widgets as well. And we may want to give our box office group access just to the event availability widget. That way they can see quickly on their home page what events are coming up and a good idea of how many have sold. The next enhancement on our list deals with several changes to the reporting page in the Agile Ticketing portal. There's a new search box at the top of the page that allows you to quickly and easily search for a report. Let's say we wanted to find out reports relating to distributors. And we'll see here that we have access to our gross revenue box office statement, and I can click on it and go straight to it. Another new option is the ability of an information icon right next to each report in order to provide a description as well as relevant tags describing each report. Also, reports are now better categorized around the actual thing that you are selling. For instance, instead of going to a catalog area in reporting to deal with concessions and merchandise, we now have separated in order to allow specific reporting of concessions and specific reporting of merchandise. And in an effort to clean up somewhat duplicate items, we've combined certain reports that you may have seen in the past, like an event manifest and event manifest extract, into a single item to choose from. If I want to produce the printable version of the report, I can choose the HTML or PDF, and in order to get the extract, we just choose the Excel. Also, the report permission list in the Agile Ticketing Admin application also has been better categorized based on that report type that you may be wanting to look at. And one thing to note is that if your organization does not have sales line types defined for concessions, you won't see those items in this list. Again, helping to declutter this particular area. And again, we are also providing that description here so that way you can better decide who needs to get access to particular reports. The next enhancement on our list is support for additional encrypted credit card hardware. Agile Ticketing now supports several more encrypted options. There's USB hardware that you can easily plug directly into your laptop or sales terminal. There are options for PartnerTech point of sales terminals. Also supported is an SRED pin pad device that connects via USB. This hardware fully encrypts the payment information that is being processed on the sales terminals. Using this device can be effective at limiting PCI scope and reducing the risk of plain text entry of payment information on your terminals. Since these are encrypted to work directly with our application, they must be purchased through Agile Ticketing. Pricing and further details are coming soon. The next enhancement on our list are some new and updated reports. The accounting batch audit consolidated cash out report has been updated to be able to add some more levels of detail needed by many nonprofits. This report is used to distribute the revenue taken in during an accounting batch period into the accounts set up for the items sold. I'm going to run this for December 24th. We have added the ability to filter to only a certain location or terminal, and those can be entered here or here. We've also added the ability to group the data based on the default way, by location, or by location and terminal. Some organizations may have multiple locations and book their revenues separately for each of those, so this allows you to be able to break those up accordingly. We're going to choose to group by location. Options have also been added to get extra details based on specified sales line types. For instance, if you need to get extra detail regarding donations or memberships to book in your accounting package, we can specify those in this box right here under the Include Customer Details. We will then get the order number, customer name, and dollar amount for each of these donations and memberships. You can also choose to include a sales by user summary. This will allow you to see a grouping of all sales during this accounting batch period by each user. And if you need detailed information about specific types of items or events to book in your accounting package, those sales line types can be specified right here. This will give us detailed tier and ticket type sales info for each event or item for these specified sales line types. We're going to choose to get some detailed information more about our rental events. Now, whenever I view this, we get data grouped by the specific location, for instance at the Agile Theater box office, as well as separated out from the internet location or online. And since we specify that under donations and memberships, we wanted a little bit more detailed information. For those, we're going to get the name of the person who donated, the order number, as well as the dollar amount. And we'll also see that under each individual membership purchase as well. And if we had had any rental events during this period, we would have seen details about those sales right here. The next report is a brand new report called the Showing Metadata Extract. This report is an extract of the show and showing info that occurred during a specified date range. It is in the same format as the show and showing import in the Agile Ticketing application. It can be used to pull all the metadata, such as description, image names, and custom properties defined for these shows. The next two reports, the Gross Revenue Box Office Statement and the ComScore Swift Extract, have been updated to include tier information along with the ticket types. This will help in reporting to distributors so that matinee versus evening screenings can be broken out. The next enhancement on our list is report customization. This will allow you to customize the data on a selection of Agile Ticketing reports and adjust them to fit your specific needs. In the reporting area in the Agile Ticketing portal, we will go to the new Custom Reports group. And we'll click on the button here since we want to create a new custom report. To start out, we choose the category and report we want to base our custom report off of. In this case, I'm going to choose the Gross Revenue Box Office Statement under the accounting category. In order to customize the report, we need to gather some useful data. I want a version of the gross revenue report that deals with a week at a time, so I'm going to choose a week in December. Now we are presented with our options for customizing the report. The report can be broken up into multiple sections, each with a different way of looking at the data. We will start with giving the first section a name of gross revenue by week. Next, we choose the type of section which controls how it will look. We are going to start with the pivot section. This works very similar to how pivot tables work in Excel. We use the pivot panel on the left to choose the columns we want in the report. I will drag the folder and the event name to the rows area. This will place these data items in the grid to the right with each unique item in the report grouped. More and more items can be added to further add levels of detail to the report. Next, we want to add some summary values to the report. I'll drag the quantity and the price with fair market value down into the values area. Now we're starting to see this report take shape. Next, I want to add the event date to the report so I can get some more details other than just the weekly summary. When I drag the event date to the rows, it adds another level of detail to the report. Now there are quite a few rows listed in this report. If I don't need the time of the event, then we can adjust the formatting of the event date field. We go down to the field and right-click and choose Field Settings. In the format options, we'll see several ways of showing the date information. I'm going to choose just the plain date without time. Now that looks a little more manageable. So right now this may be a pretty good representation of the report for printing, but I want to put it in a format that will work well for me as an Excel export. I'm going to take the event date and drag it to the columns area instead. And this will change the report to expand to have a column for each date. It looks good with one line per film. Another thing I want to change is the header for the price column. I can go right-click on that item in the values area and choose Field Settings. and then I can type in exactly what I want it to say in the header option. While I'm here, I'm also going to go ahead and change the format of this to be currency, since it represents dollar amounts. Another thing I want to change is to filter out some of the data. I want to exclude tickets that have a fair market value of 0, essentially getting rid of special or comp ticket types. I will drag this item to the filters area since I do not want to display it in this report. Now I right-click and go to Field Settings. If this item were already in one of my rows, columns, or values area, I would just right-click on it there without having to drag it to Filters. Now I can click the Edit button next to the filter. I can choose to set which items I want to exclude from the list by clicking on the checkbox, or I can click on the Filter by Condition to specify my specific requirement. I want to show items where the value is greater than 0. Now we see that these $0 tickets have been removed from the report. The Field Settings area has several other options, like how the report is sorted. For instance, if I wanted to have the days reversed, I could go to the Field Settings for the event date and choose Descending. Now the date columns are reversed, so it goes most recent to furthest away. For now, I'm going to go back into the Ascending option. Another option is whether you want to show subtotals or not in the report. I'm going to choose to hide them by unchecking that option. Next, we're going to look at the chart option. I'm going to create a new section for the chart by clicking the Add New Section. I'm going to name it Chart, and I'm going to choose the chart type. Each subsequent section will copy the settings from before. Now this chart looks pretty cool, but I want to change it up a little bit. I'm going to remove the folder from the rows and the gross price from the values. I'm also going to swap the event name and event date in the rows and columns area. Now I'm going to change it from a bar chart to a line chart. Next, we are going to look at the raw option. This allows the data to be represented in a basic grid for an easy export of all of the data. I'm going to create a new section for the raw grid by clicking Add New Section. I'm going to name it Export and choose the raw type. Here we choose the columns we want to include. I can click the All Columns option to easily get all of them, or just select the ones I want. Great, this is what I wanted from our report. I have the option of exporting the data right now to Excel or PDF before I save this report, but I'm going to go ahead and name it Gross Revenue by Week. I will give it a description and some tags to help with searching. And I can choose to share this report with others in my organization. And I'll click Save Report in order to finish saving. Now that this report is saved, I can come back to it at any time and run it. Only the data areas are going to be what's shown whenever it's run. So let's go ahead and run it now. If I need to make further modifications, I can just click on the gear icon next to the report name to edit it again. And that brings me right back to be able to make edits to this report and save those changes. We also have the option to be able to export to Excel. And then we'll take a look at that export in Excel. And we also have the option to be able to export that as PDF. One more cool feature in the report is that you do have the ability to be able to dig in to get details directly from your pivot. Let's say we want to find out more details about what the ticket sales were for all the events on 12/7 for the film Border. We'll go and right click in one of these two cells and click Show Detail. This will then give me a representation of all those detail records that came together in order to produce that summary line of data. Oh, and one more thing. We have a new iOS app that will be available in the App Store soon. It will work with iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch devices. It can be used for both scanning and credit card sales. We support the Linea Pro hardware sled that has a built-in barcode reader and credit card swipe. We also support the iMag Pro 2 swipe that connects to the Lightning port. You can also use the camera on your device to scan tickets. Let's take a look at the app. We start out by looking at the list of gate control batches to scan for. We are going to choose the daily batch to show some new features there. A daily batch is a way of setting up a single gate control batch that allows scanning of all events happening on that day. It keeps you from having to set up one for every event. So we'll choose the daily batch, and under here we have the option of choosing a specific event or just allowing you to scan for all events within the range. We're going to choose the all events option. Under this option, we now support member scanning. If we scan a member's pass or member card, in the case of scanning them under the all events selection, it'll ask which event we want to scan them in for, and we'll choose from the available list. And they get their ticket based on their member benefits. We can also go back and choose a specific event under Daily Batch, and this will keep that event question from popping up whenever we scan those members' tickets. We're going to go back to the original selection screen and choose a different event. On the menu, we can choose History. We can scroll through and see all the valid and invalid scans that have occurred for this event. Or we can search for specific items like the ones that were not valid. And we'll go back to the scan screen. From here, we'll go to the menu and choose Search. We can see all of the customers who have tickets for the event, and we can validate a ticket here if the customer lost theirs. You can choose to search for the customer name or an order number to find that person's tickets in the list. We're going to search for the last name Fan. We'll find the ticket and click Validate in order to admit the customer. We're going to go back to the scan screen once again, and we're going to go to the new option to be able to buy tickets. The tickets that we see here are the ones that are set up under the gate control sales channel. We can add the number of tickets we want and then hit checkout. We'll swipe the card in order to pay for the tickets. And down at the bottom of the screen, we've got information about that last order, its total, and we have the option of being able to send a confirmation email to the customer. I'm going to go back and scan a couple tickets for a different event. Here we can see the new rescan option. When a ticket is scanned more than once, the app will ask whether it is allowed or denied. First time comes back as valid. Here we see that it's already been scanned once. It tells us the date and time that it was scanned and on which device it was scanned by. We can choose whether or not to allow or deny depending on the particular situation. And we'll go ahead and allow. And it'll be marked the fact that it was rescanned but accepted.